Sehr geehrte Frau Bundespräsidentin, dear President of the Republic of South Africa, Exzellenzen, werte Medienschaffende, meine Damen und Herren. Herzlich willkommen zur Medienkonferenz anlässlich des Staatsbesuchs von Präsident Ramaphosa in der Schweiz. Die Bundespräsidentin wird sich zuerst an Sie wenden, anschließend der Präsident der Republik Südafrika. Dann werden wir einige Fragen entgegennehmen. Die Medienkonferenz findet auf Deutsch und Englisch statt. Es gibt eine simultane Übersetzung. Frau Bundespräsidentin, Sie haben das Wort.
Ja, vielen herzlichen Dank, sehr geehrter Herr Präsident, Exzellenzen, meine Damen und Herren. Dieser Staatsbesuch ist der erste eines Staatsoberhaupts der Republik Südafrika in der Schweiz. Ich freue mich sehr, Herr Präsident, dass Sie unsere Einladung angenommen haben. Ihr Land ist für die Schweiz einer der wichtigsten Partner auf dem afrikanischen Kontinent. Das gilt für die gesamte Bandbreite der Beziehungen, politisch, wirtschaftlich, in der Wissenschaft und in der Kultur. Besonders unterstreichen möchte ich die ausgezeichnete Zusammenarbeit in diesem Jahr, in dem Südafrika die G20-Präsidentschaft innehat. Ein Staatsbesuch bietet immer die Gelegenheit, das Erreichte in den bilateralen Beziehungen zu würdigen, und er ist zugleich eine Chance, an der Weiterentwicklung dieser Beziehungen zu arbeiten. Diese Chance haben wir heute gepackt. Gleich 3 Mitglieder des Bundesrates konnten mit ihren jeweiligen Amtskollegen gemeinsame Erklärungen unterzeichnen. Inhaltlich geht es dabei um die Wirtschaftsbeziehungen, um die wirtschaftliche Entwicklungszusammenarbeit, um die Berufsbildung, um Fragen der Friedensmediation und der Demokratie sowie um die Kooperation in der Kultur. Bundesrat Guy Parmelin konnte 3 Absichtserklärungen unterzeichnen. Die erste betrifft die Verhandlungen zur Modernisierung des Freihandelsabkommens zwischen den EFTA-Staaten und den Staaten der südafrikanischen Zollunion SACU. Wir hoffen hier auf rasche Fortschritte. Die zweite betrifft die nächste Phase des südafrikanischen City Support Program zur nachhaltigen Entwicklung der Großstädte. Das Programm ist ein anerkanntes Beispiel für die erfolgreiche Zusammenarbeit im Wirtschaftsbereich. Die dritte Erklärung legt die Grundlage für die künftige Zusammenarbeit zwischen schweizerischen und südafrikanischen Akteuren im Bereich der Berufsbildung. Bundesrat Inácio Cassis hat eine Vereinbarung zu Fragen der Mediation und Demokratie unterzeichnet. Dabei geht es um den Ausbau der Zusammenarbeit in der Friedensmediation. Wir wollen zum Beispiel gemeinsame Ansätze zur Prävention und Lösung von Konflikten entwickeln. Mit der von Bundesrätin Elisabeth Bohm-Schneider unterzeichneten Absichtserklärung soll insbesondere die Zusammenarbeit in den Bereichen Kunst, Kultur und Kulturerbe vertieft werden. Auf freiwilliger Basis wurden gestern zudem mehrere Kulturgüter aus der Sammlung des Musée d'Ethnographie de Neuchâtel an Südafrika zurückgegeben. Neben den Themen der Absichtserklärungen haben wir zudem das große Potenzial der afrikanischen Freihandelszone für den gesamten afrikanischen Kontinent und für europäische Handelspartner wie die Schweiz unterstrichen. Auch über die Zusammenarbeit unserer Länder in Wissenschaft und Forschung haben wir gesprochen und selbstverständlich über internationale Themen wie die Lage der Menschenrechte und unser gemeinsames Engagement für die Demokratie. Die Zusammenarbeit zwischen etablierten und starken Demokratien hat einen besonderen Wert in einer Welt, in der die demokratischen Prinzipien zunehmend unter Druck geraten. Ich bin auch deshalb sehr froh über den guten Austausch, den die Schweiz und Südafrika pflegen und weiter ausbauen wollen. Herr Präsident, geschätzte Damen und Herren, ich freue mich, dass wir uns auch morgen bei einem Ausflug in die Ostschweiz über die Themen Wirtschaft und Bildung austauschen können. Unsere Zusammenarbeit ist bereits in der Gegenwart intensiv und enthält noch viel Potenzial für die Zukunft. Nochmals herzlichen Dank, Herr Präsident, für Ihren Besuch in der Schweiz, gemeinsam mit einer wichtigen Delegation, einer großen Delegation. Das unterstreicht auch den Willen für die engere Zusammenarbeit zwischen unseren beiden Ländern. Ich darf Ihnen, glaube ich, das Wort übergeben.
Madam President, Your Excellencies, members of the Federal Council, ministers and deputy ministers here present, and ambassadors, and members of the media. It's a great honor for me to be here today on the first South African state visit to Switzerland since the dawn of democracy in our country. This is an important milestone in our view, in our long-standing partnership, and it is also a statement to our mutually beneficial relations. During our discussions today, and we've had really good discussions, we focus on a number of issues, from international issues and bilateral relations between our two countries, spanning a number of areas, including economic and cultural matters. We discuss cooperation in trade and investment, in science, technology and innovation, and higher education and training. We noted that Switzerland is one of our major trade, investment, and economic cooperation partners, and we agreed that this visit will give our relationship new impetus and new momentum. This visit will not only raise the profile of our relations, but will contribute to a better political and also economic ties. It will foster greater cooperation and understanding between the peoples of Switzerland and South Africa. We also appreciate that Switzerland has recently launched its new Africa strategy for the period 2025 to 2028, reflecting its commitment to supporting democratic processes, good governance, and development. We truly appreciate this. We also noted Switzerland's role in advancing peace and security within the United Nations and around the world, notably in various conflict-ridden areas on our continent, Africa, such as Mozambique and the DRC and the Sudan. We also noted the important role that Switzerland has also continued to play to try to resolve other conflicts in other parts of the world other than Africa, such as in Europe, the conflict in Ukraine, where we are working together. We also took the opportunity to commend the Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs for their significant contribution to improving the lives of South Africans through various initiatives to foster economic growth, sustainability, and inclusivity. The President and I had previously discussed the development of a youth cooperation framework, and I look forward to our further engagement in this regard, more particularly as I will accompany the President tomorrow to the eastern part of Switzerland to go and see how you have been succeeding in developing the skills, particularly of young people. We're grateful that Switzerland has given its support to our G20 presidency, as well as the priorities of inclusive economic growth, debt management, support for multilateral development institutions, climate change, and the reform of global governance institutions. South Africa and Switzerland are aligned in our pursuit of a more sustainable and resilient future. We are pleased that we have signed a number of memoranda of understanding, 5 altogether, but we are particularly pleased that we've also signed 1 or 2 important instruments promoting cooperation in arts and culture and heritage and in peace mediation and democracy resilience. I'd like to thank the Swiss government for the constructive cooperation in the repatriation efforts of the heritage objects of the Nkuna royal family, which will now occupy their rightful place in one of our provinces in Limpopo in South Africa. Relations between South Africa and Switzerland have indeed come a long way. From this state visit, we are confident that we will go even further and achieve greater benefits for the peoples of both our countries. We are truly pleased that this state visit has been very successful and we've been warmly received, and more importantly, that our talks have been very fruitful and detailed. We will be able to follow up on a number of areas of understandings that we have reached between our 2 countries. We rate Switzerland very highly. Apart from South Africa being the country where you have invested most in Africa, you've also recognized that South Africa is the gateway into the African continent. And through the engagements that we have had and will have with various business organizations in your country that continue to invest in South Africa, we hope that too will strengthen the relations between our 2 countries. So I look forward to enjoying the train ride. I haven't been in a train for a long time, so I'm looking forward to riding the train with you tomorrow. So thank you very much, President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Wir kommen jetzt zu Ihren Fragen. Bitte stellen Sie diese auf Deutsch oder auf Englisch, nur ja, Herr Benrath.
My question is directed at the South African President. Mr. President, Switzerland and South Africa share the fate of being hit by very high tariffs from the US. Can you talk about what this has meant for today's state visit, and can Switzerland and South Africa help each other in making up for the trade which isn't going to the US anymore? Thank you.
Yes, we are 2 countries that have unfortunately been hit by very high tariffs. I do understand from my discussions with the President that Switzerland is involved in negotiations with the Americans, and so are we. We are now involved in text-based negotiations with them, and we're hoping that we will be able to reach success or achieve success in our negotiations. But more importantly, what these tariffs imposition has done is to make us want to diversify our trade reach, and we as South Africa have been looking at spreading our trade wings more effectively to other markets. We've just returned from Southeast Asia, where we visited 3 countries, Vietnam, Indonesia, as well as Malaysia. We have been trading with these countries, but our engagement with them, I believe, will catapult our trade involvement with them to a higher level. And similarly, we expect that we will be able to raise the trade dealings with Switzerland to a higher level as well, following on this very successful state visit. We're focused, as I said earlier, on trade matters, and our various trade departments and economic departments are going to follow through. So in many ways, whilst the imposition of tariffs is quite negative, but it also opens up opportunities. And so we should look at it as an opportunity opener so that we have more trade possibilities with other countries. And certainly, in our case, we will want to do so with Switzerland.
Eine weitere Frage, Herr Stüdli.
Eine Anschlussfrage zu diesem Thema der Zölle an Sie, Frau Bundespräsidentin. Eben das war offenbar auch Thema dieser Gespräche. Es ist Ende Oktober. Wie geht es weiter? Zeichnet sich für die Schweiz in dieser Zollfrage eine Lösung ab?
Ja, ich kann Ihnen keine präzise Antwort geben. Das federführende Departement, das WBF mit dem SECO, hat Gespräche geführt und ist weiterhin im Gespräch mit den US-Behörden. Aber letztlich entscheidet der amerikanische Präsident dann über das Ergebnis und deshalb braucht es vielleicht hier noch etwas Geduld.
Danke, Herr Berde.
A question for Mr. President. You've had a very tense meeting with US President Trump in the White House in May, and you have received a lot of praise for your calm and diplomatic reaction. Do you have any advice to give to Ms. President Keller-Sutter about how to deal with Mr. Trump?
Well, I don't know whether you call that a successful visit, but a visit we've had. And the President also briefed me on the discussions that she has had with him. So we share notes, we share best practice. We can only share best practice. I don't know whether other people share. And so we continue to engage. But I think the important thing that underpins what I believe are the values that we share is to treat everybody with dignity, to treat everybody with respect, and that those are the key values that we share, which I truly appreciated with the President. Thank you.
Herr Lanz.
Vielen Dank. Jetzt wurden all meine Zollfragen schon gefragt. Darum noch diese Frage. Heute Abend gibt es ja ein Staatsbankett und es gibt ja einen sehr bekannten Schweizer mit einer südafrikanischen Mutter, nämlich Roger Federer. Ich würde gerne wissen, wurde er eingeladen und wird er teilnehmen?
Er wurde eingeladen, ja, aber er wird nicht teilnehmen.
Warum nicht?
Ich weiß nicht, warum nicht. Aber es gibt auch Gründe, warum man nicht teilnehmen kann. Ich weiß nicht. Bitte? Er ist nicht in der Schweiz. Also, es kann passieren.
Maybe if he was here, I would have learned some tips on playing tennis because I've taken tennis up. So it's my loss that he's not here.
Herr Maccabe, bitte.
Mr. President, you've been quite vocal in your criticism of Israel. You've accused Israel of committing a genocide before the ICJ. The Swiss government has been much more moderate. Have you raised the issue today?
Well, in our discussions, we do share a whole number of issues, including international matters. So these matters are often discussed. Our position on what's happening in Gaza is really born out of our own experience. We experienced apartheid, and what we've seen unfolding there is very similar to what we experienced. And that has led to the response that we have had. And many other countries, I may add, have responded in a number of ways. And we also appreciate and respect the response that Switzerland has demonstrated, particularly the support and assistance that it is now giving to those who are suffering in Gaza. That is such an important aspect of pledging solidarity with those who are suffering from all sides, if one looks at it.
Vielleicht eine letzte Frage. Danke.
to come back on the tariff issue. The South African officials mentioned a few weeks ago that the talks could be finalized. The tariff negotiations with the US could be finalized by the end of October, and the end of October is now upon us. So I'm wondering how far you've come. And I also wanted to ask about whether you're planning on appointing Alistair Deutschers as your US ambassador in the US. I think that's been discussed. Thank you.
Our negotiations, as I said, with the United States are ongoing. They are now fortunately based on text. And once you get to that level, with any government, you are said to have made tremendous progress. And time frames, when you deal with governments, are always things that shift. And so we are looking forward to concluding an agreement fairly soon, and soon could be tomorrow, next week, next month. So we will be able to announce when it's done. So once the deal is done, that's when we will announce. The process of appointing an ambassador is a matter that I think every head of state gives consideration to. So I am giving serious consideration to that. And I have a number of South Africa. I've got 62 million South Africans to consider on who to appoint amongst them. So some of them are here, but I'm giving consideration to their names individually. And when that is concluded, we'll be able to announce the name.
Thank you, Mr. President. Vielen Dank, Frau Bundespräsidentin, meine Damen und Herren. Wir beenden hier diese Medienkonferenz. Ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Abend. Merci.